Hi everyone, Sherman Chin here, and today I'm going to talk about Star Trek Starfleet Academy and its major problem. So, Star Trek Starfleet Academy has one big problem, but it's not what you think it is. And now, I've been a Star Trek fan since I was a kid, and I've been watching Star Trek The Next Generation. I've watched all the other Star Treks series as well. The original series, not so much. I watched it as a kid as well, but that was a really long time ago. I didn't rewatch it. I watched The Next Generation, and that is my baseline to compare to. Of course, then I watched the other Star Treks. The Star Trek Discovery, the new ones. I've watched Star Trek Voyager, obviously, previously, prior to that, Deep Space Nine, and of course, all the classic Star Treks, even Star Trek Enterprise. But Starfleet Academy, okay, it has a problem because it started with this trailer. Okay, I'm just going to show you guys what the trailer is about. But before that, I'm just tell you that the spirit of Star Trek has always been about exploration, about philosophy, mirroring our real world circumstances in a very metaphorical way. I mean, it has influenced me so much to see an utopian future where we have collaboration with interspecies, with aliens, and that's why in real life I volunteered at the Alliance for Extraterrestrial Diplomatic Contact. That is the real life non-profit based in Canada. I volunteer there at something like the Federation in Star Trek. But yeah, let me not digress. Let me get back to Starfleet Academy. The problem it has is actually that it has a very bad trailer. It has a very bad press. A lot of people are saying bad things about it. I almost did not want to watch it because after watching this trailer, okay, I'm just gonna show you guys this trailer. Check this out. Okay, it starts off with San Francisco, very earthbound, right? I feel that. Yeah, very earthbound. It has the vibe that it's not about exploration. And there's a new captain I'm not used to. I've actually grown to like her a lot. So does have some vibe for the vibe is more like the newer Star Trek or the new Trek, which is something like Star Trek Discovery. So the problem is Star Trek Discovery wasn't that great. But look at this. That is like Harry Potter. That school vibe, and then the love vibe, very teenager sorority kind of feel. You have new characters, dancing characters, very new agey kind of vibe. Check that out. The new ship, that is the Athena, but it becomes the school, which is Starfleet Academy. There we go, Starfleet Academy 2026. Okay, and then there's this thing about the bad guy, which shouldn't be there at all. Didn't inspire me to watch the show at all. But I actually started watching it and I really loved it. Okay, I will just give you my review, and this is my honest review based on my time watching Starfleet Academy. And I personally think it's a great series. Okay, it starts out very comical, unfortunately, with all those, the school vibe. We had the school problems, romance, fighting with friends, not fitting in, that kind of vibe. In fact, I really dreaded watching the first episode, right? It started out quite boring. They tried to make it interesting with special effects and stuff, but I felt that it just didn't catch me right at the beginning. It moved too slowly. But okay, as the series went on, okay, there was the beginning, which was very comical with the characters with like barfing and barfing crystals, making funny silly jokes, and that kind of thing just drives away like serious Star Trek fans. I am a serious Star Trek fan, because the thing with Star Trek is that it has always appealed to people with the capability to philosophize, right? To think about philosophy, to compare it to our real world, and how sci-fi is mirroring our real world. But the show makes it too comical at the beginning and too teenager-like, right? The kind of problems that teenagers have, but most of the fans have grown up now, right? I'm sure they are trying to attract a new crowd, right? The young crowd. The problem with that is that it doesn't, it's neither here nor there, right? It needs to attract the old crowd, to support it, to get the good news out, and to have people talk positively about it, right? But the problem is that the old fans have talked negatively about it, and have also influenced how and what I think about Starfleet Academy before watching it. I mean, like, there were so many YouTube videos saying it's bad, I didn't want to watch it. And then when I finally watch it and forced myself past the first maybe 3 episodes, then I was hooked. Okay, let's just make it 5, because the first 5 episodes were just building the characters, and then episode 6 came about, the classic Star Trek tropes were there. And especially episode 8, I would say it's about not running away, about fitting in, about just enjoying the moment and appreciating the moment. This is the kind of philosophy that I personally talk about. So it becomes very inspiring for me. It made me tear up, and there were plenty of moments that made me tear up, especially towards the end of this series, which were episode 5 onwards until episode 10. So this Starfleet Academy had a really good ending, okay, because it tied up what it started out with. So the entire first 10 episodes of season 1, I mean the entire 10 episodes, they tied up very nicely from episode 1. So they introduced the characters all the way until they reach episode 9, where they continue the story from episode 1 to tie up the story, right? To tie up the arc. And that is amazing, right? Because I know you guys who watch Star Trek like the episodic value of it, like in Strange New Worlds. But to me, Strange New Worlds, if some of the episodes are really ridiculous, and I don't like that. For example, the singing episode, why they're singing in space because they are space aliens that are singing, just find that too ridiculous, right? So it became a musical. But none of that is here in Starfleet Academy, thankfully. So where it goes wrong is just that it adds in too much comical elements, right? It doesn't need those comical elements. They're trying to attract like the new crowd, and then they add in DI elements, if you guys know what I mean. Basically, like, they have gay people, they have people of different religions. You can see them in the background. Thankfully, they are not like the main focus of the story, okay? So don't let that detract from the main story, because the main story is really good, okay? Those things are just elements in the background which they shouldn't have added there, because it just detracts, okay? There's nothing against gays, nothing against people who are into whatever they believe in, right? Because that's the spirit of Star Trek. The problem, right, I feel, is that in Starfleet Academy they tried to put that in, and then they just drove a lot of people away. So they shouldn't have put that in. If they wanted to put that in, not at the beginning, right? If they put it at the beginning, nobody will watch it in the first place. So I mean, they alienate a lot of people. Not that nobody's going to watch it, because they might attract some people, but they alienate a lot of people. So you want a lot of people to watch it, then you have to make it more appealing to the general audience, to everyone, right? But at the same time, what you want is also to attract the old Star Trek fans, and the way to do it is to appeal to that Star Trek fans with more, with a more serious kind of vibe that the original Star Trek was based on. And I think that is the problem in Star Trek. Unfortunately, from the latest news, they're gonna end it at season 2, I think, and they're not gonna continue with season 3, which is really sad because season 1 was really good if you give it a chance. Yeah. So if you guys like Star Trek, I would say this Starfleet Academy, it's better than Strange New Worlds. It's definitely better than Discovery. Okay, Discovery was like too non-Star Trek. Like it's not hopeful enough. This Starfleet Academy is very hopeful. It has a storyline that really pulls at your heartstrings. They really build the characters, and they manage to put in very philosophical elements that makes you think, right? That's classic Star Trek. I love it. It has too much of a comical elements from like Lower Decks. If you guys watch the cartoon version, which is Star Trek Lower Decks, I think, you know, if you want to do that, you can just leave it Lower Decks because it's cartoon. People are more appreciative of that in cartoon format. But if you want to make a serious Star Trek, well, some people might argue like, hey, look, One Piece is funny and it's doing very well on Netflix as a real life kind of anime. The problem is that, you know, that is the spirit of the real life anime from One Piece, but this is Star Trek, right? And so unless you came watching Star Trek Lower Decks and then you watch this and you say, oh, okay, it's like Star Trek Lower Decks, but you know, Star Trek Lower Decks is actually doing really well. And if you came from watching that, then you would probably like this. But that's just a very niche market. So you need to come from the old Star Trek, right? And then you bring the fans in who actually appreciate the more realistic kind of Star Trek, to appreciate what Starfleet Academy is all about. And then I hope in season 2 they are able to bring this to another level, because you've already built the characters in season 1, and if they can just go out to do explorations more, I think that will be really back to the classic Star Trek formula. And I think they nailed it with the philosophy and the characters, although the comical part you can just remove that. Alright guys, I hope you like my short, well, not short, I think this is quite a long review of Star Trek, and I hope you give it Starfleet Academy, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I hope you give it a chance. I think it's well deserved, because, you know, I think it's one of the greatest Star Trek series, and I can't believe I'm saying this, right? Because I really didn't want to watch it at first, but now it's like one of my favorite Star Trek series since I would say the Next Generation. Can you believe it? Yeah, so guys, give it a chance, especially after episode 5. Remember Star Trek The Next Generation, if you guys were a fan, the first season was meh as well, right? And then it got really good after that. Same with Starfleet Academy, okay? It's really good, okay? I really hope you guys give it a chance. If you guys like videos like this, please do help support this channel by buying knives from thomastools.com.my using my link down below. Okay, I haven't used this knife for some time. There we go. And it looks very modern, like a ship in Star Trek. Ship. Ta-da. Alright guys, thank you so much. Please do like, subscribe, and click that notifications bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care now. Bye.